National Disaster Management Organization in the Northeast region is appealing for food items and shelter for victims of the latest communal violence in the Chereponi district. The violence erupted last week Thursday at Winchike and spread to nearby communities after a disagreement between two Chokosi royal factions over the enskinment of a new chief. NADMO has already confirmed 27 houses as well as several tons of stored grains and other foodstuff were set ablaze during the confrontations. 4 young men were also gunned down and 5 other persons, including a military man, are currently receiving treatment. Speaking during a visit to the affected communities, the regional NADMO director, John Kweku Al-Hassan, said any further delay in providing food assistance to the victims could result in acute hunger. He joins us via Zoom with more. Mr. Kweku, I'm grateful for your time. How severe is the situation as we speak?
Well, the situation is very bad because yesterday the Northeast Regional Minister, who doubles as the chairman of the Regional Security Council, led a team to the conflict scene. Our first point of call was to meet with the Chereponi Pharma. He is the traditional overlord of the Chereponi area. And then from there, we moved to the conflict scene. And then what we saw was very sad and very pathetic. To see that food that people are supposed to eat was burned down. Houses were razed down. A lot of properties were destroyed. And in fact, it was a sad situation. And so yesterday, even before we went there, our men on the ground had done some assessment, and we also went there to do some validation of the report that they brought to us. About 445 people are currently displaced. They're going to live with their relatives in some villages, and it's not been easy. So yesterday, we used your medium to appeal to philanthropic organizations and donor partners to actually come to the aid of the people. It's not easy at all because they are mainly farmers, and you can imagine if your foodstuffs are completely burnt, what are you going to eat? You know, we are already the privilege. So if such things had come to add up, it becomes a very difficult situation for us to cope with. So we are still appealing to people, individuals, churches, mosques, and some other organizations. If they can come in to support the people, that would be very good enough.
Mr. Al-Hassan, what has NADMO done so far to cushion the affected people?
You know, when there is a conflict, first of all, you have to make sure that there's peace in the area before NADMO can move in. You get that? So, the area is very scattered. And so NADMO will have to take its time to do proper assessment to be able to determine the property that are destroyed. You know, in this situation, a lot of, about 4 persons lost their lives, and a military officer was also shot. And some people also sustained a lot of injuries. So we needed to put all this report together before we'll be able to tell what kind of assistance the people will need. And even besides that, NADMO in the Northeast region and then the Chereponi Municipal Assembly, in our own small way, yesterday, we were able to organize some used clothing, blankets, and other stuff for the people. That is for the in the entry. But we are still mobilizing, and our headquarters, I know, will respond to the plight of these victims. But what I'm saying is that, you know, government has an enormous responsibility to deliver. The government alone cannot do it. So I'm calling on donor partners and philanthropic organizations to come to the aid of these victims.
Well, you say that there is the urgent need for assistance. What kind of assistance do you need as NADMO, for instance, to help secure these victims?
We need assistance in terms of food. We need assistance in terms of, because the people, we have to restore them back to their normal status. You know, the houses are destroyed, and very soon the rains will come. And they should be able to construct their homes such that they can go back. And then clothing, any form of support, anything that can help bring the people back to their normal status is welcome.
Well, so how soon are we looking at, NADMO getting to the community to actually giving them the reliefs that they need?
As I said, as for the support, we have done something, but we are hoping to do something in the coming days. But that alone cannot take them for a longer period. And that is why we are asking for other people to come in to support the victims.
I'm grateful for your time, John Kweku-Alasan. You wanted to say something, Mr. Alasan?
Well, what I want to add is that this is just a passionate appeal that I'm making to the people of the Chereponi area. We are calling on them to give peace a chance. Without peace, already the area is underdeveloped. We need a lot of infrastructure. So if we don't use appropriate structures to resolve whatever differences that we have, and we want to be burning each other's houses, because we are one people, and this cannot continue like that.
Is there any collaboration with the security services and the Regional Security Council to actually deal with this?
There is an effective collaboration, because yesterday like this, the regional minister led a powerful team which comprises of the police, the military, NADMO, all the major stakeholders to the area to engage with the people and to tell them that they should give peace a chance if really we really want development to take place in our various communities. So there's effective collaboration in that regard.
All right, I'm grateful for your time. John Kweku-Alasan is the Northeast Regional NADMO Director, and he's been asking for support to help deal with the issue with farming in Chereponi. Back here in Accra, Deputy Chairman of the Commission in charge of Corporate Services, Dr. Bosman Asari, has described as baseless claims the chairperson of the EC showed total disrespect to Parliament when she failed to appear before the House last week. The NDC minority did not accept the absence of the EC boss during a meeting of the Committee of the Whole to consider the new constitutional instrument and described it as disrespect to the House. The meeting has been rescheduled for today, and the EC chair is expected to be present at this crucial meeting. Dr. Bosman Asari tells my colleague Raymond Aqua that the EC has no idea why they have been invited to the House.
I want to come to the real happenings. So, really, I've seen a statement from the Electoral Commission explaining that it was just a day to the day they wanted you to be in Parliament that the chairperson of the Electoral Commission was invited, and that she was already in Nigeria. Now, I'll come to what this year is about, but is the chairperson going to be in Parliament the next day that's expected to be, that's Tuesday?
Yes, certainly. And you know, in the statement we issued, we made it very clear, if the chairperson had known about this particular invitation, definitely she would have honored the invitation. But
this is not the first time that she had not been in Parliament when she was expected to be in Parliament.
No, the last time we were invited by the whole of Parliament, what they call the Committee of the Whole, this was ahead of the 2020 elections. And the delegation was led by the chairperson together with the Deputy Chairman for Operations and myself. So since this commission took over in 2018, we've only had 2 sections with the whole of Parliament, the Committee of the Whole. And the first one was led by the chairperson. It was during this second one and the chairperson, and you know, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Ghana is also the president of the Association of African Election Authorities.
Okay.
So anytime there is election in any part of Africa, the organization plays a very significant role. Apart from the fact that until recently, the chairperson was also an executive member of the ECOWAS network of electoral commissions. So by virtue of these particular roles in the Association of African Election Authorities and formerly of ECONEC, she plays a very significant role, not only in the subcontinent, but in the continent at large. And she was invited.
But she's only in those other positions because we made her chairperson.
Yes. And
so her primary responsibility is to the Republic of Ghana.
Yeah, and as we stated in the letter, the chairperson went to Nigeria before we even got notice. I got to know of the letter, I think on Wednesday around 9:30 a.m., that we were being invited to Parliament in the next 28 or 27 hours, at the time the chairperson had left. And as an institution, we have to honor the invitation of Parliament. And when you look at the reasons why we went to Parliament, the EC was invited together with the National Identification Authority, and the National Identification Authority was expected to do a presentation. So as far as we, the EC, know, although the EC was invited to also defend its position regarding the new constitutional instrument, the National Identification was also there mainly to do a presentation to assuage the fears of members of Parliament regarding the numbers who have registered for the Ghana card and the outstanding cards that are yet to be printed.
The meeting, according to JoyNews sources, is to deliberate on the proposed constitutional instrument to empower the EC to accept only the Ghana card as a sole means of identification for registration onto the voter's card. Dr. Bosman Asari says the Ghana card remains the only viable option for the exercise.
To make you back down on the Ghana card singular use for voter registration criteria, what will make you back down on it?
I would say so far there is no evidence to suggest that we are not going to continue with what we are doing. But to say we backing down, unless there is what the lawyers call, they have a term they use. I've forgotten the name of this term, but assuming the NIA stops its operations, okay, then it means we cannot continue to rely on what the force majeure. Yes. If there is something like NIA has stopped its operations, government has decided that NIA is no longer necessary. But as long as the NIA is functioning and they are issuing the cards and they've opened their doors that people should come and register, we must just encourage, and I believe those of you in the media should be encouraging people. If you want to register as a voter, you need to, because that's the best practice in every part of the world. I don't know if you know of any country where, let's say in Burkina Faso, in Togo, in Britain, where two British nationalities must vouch for somebody. No, it doesn't happen. This has been unique to Ghana, and we think that we began this in 1992. Because we've come very far, we've made progress.
Up to now, we've not gotten a single unified ID that's easy to get, and actually people will not have to struggle to go to the process to get it. That's why we find alternatives. Because the right to vote is a fundamental right. Now, we don't want to put impediments in the way of anybody acquiring the process to go through that. Yeah. That's it, right?
And then when the Commission concedes so fundamental, so sacrosanct that all of us must ensure that it is protected for every Ghanaian.
Do you then concede that by doing this, reducing it to only the Ghana card, you are limiting the options available to people?
No, we are not limiting. What we are saying is that just take steps. You know, okay, the right to vote is fundamental. Yes. And you know, when you study human rights, we have what we call civil political rights, and we also have economic rights. The civil political rights, which the right to vote is part, is so fundamental.
Well, let's stick with elections, but this time let's cross over to Nigeria, because the Nigerian Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has dismissed allegations of rigging in the ongoing collation of results. Results from 15 out of the 36 states have been collated so far. About 10 political parties, including the Labour Party and PDP, earlier asked the INEC to hold the national collation process in order to resolve claims of manipulation of votes. Senator Dino Melaye, the collation agent of the People's Democratic Party, demanded an explanation from the Independent National Electoral Commission on why results of Saturday's presidential elections were not uploaded to the Commission's results viewing portal immediately after voting. Watch.
You are now being... You are now being disruptive.
I am not disrupting. The Electoral Act says that what is uploaded
you are now being disruptive.
You can bundle me out, but the right thing must be done. I'm a party agent.
You are now,
that is what the Constitution
you are now
says.
being disruptive of the process.
I am not being disruptive. I'm asking what is uploaded. Is
next scope, please. After the presentation, then we'll come back to the issues you've raised. Let's take the next step.
We are saying that let him declare that what is uploaded is what he's going to present. At least let him make that statement.
Okay. Scope Kwara, sorry, Oshun and Derek, please make your presentation.
Thank you.
Sorry, Kwara has done his own. Oshun State?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead, Oshun.
Mr. Chairman,
thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
My name is Dr. Mutiu Olaleke Agoke. I am the resident electoral commissioner, INEC Osun.
Well, INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu took time to address the allegations. He also denied the parties their request for the entire coalition to be halted.
I like the suggestion made that the Commission has power under the Electoral Act to review results, but that power is contingent upon one procedure. The process has to be concluded first before you can then talk about power to review. I want to assure political parties that any evidence that you have of any alleged wrongdoing at any level of the process, whether it's at the polling unit or at coalition level, please forward this information. And I promise you, as soon as the process is concluded, we'll then do the review as provided by law. On this note, I beg you for us to proceed with the process. Thank you very much. Okay. Now that we have established calm.
Let's get the very latest from Nigeria, and Kayla Megwa is with the Channels TV in Nigeria. She joins us via Zoom with that. We're hearing, Kayla, that results from 15 states out of 36 have been confirmed. What's the latest from the collation centers?
Hello, good afternoon. Well, the collation centers are on recess. They should be up again by 2 p.m. The INEC viewing portal, we've started seeing results being uploaded on the INEC viewing portal. We have about 1,178 results uploaded on the INEC result viewing portal, which is abysmally low compared to the 175,668 expected to be on that portal. So that is the situation that we have going on right now.
We understand. Okay. Go ahead, Kayla.
When it comes to the walkout that was staged by the PDP and other political parties at the collation center, we're looking right now at a press briefing. There's a joint press briefing going on right now between the People's Democratic Party, the Labour Party, and the ADC. These three parties have just had a press conference right now calling for the cancellation of the election, saying that the INEC in itself has been compromised. These are the words they're using, calling INEC compromised, and saying that the results that are being relayed to the Nigerian people are not the true reflection of what happened on the ground. They're asking that the INEC chairman also be removed from office, and they're saying an independent person should come in and take over to conclude this process. So that is the update on the elections going on as we speak.
On what basis are they asking for all of these?
Well, they're asking for the resignation of the INEC chairman because they're saying he reneged on his promise to Nigerians. The BVAS situation, which is something that everyone has been talking about, the promise from the Independent National Electoral Commission was that the election results will be conveyed from the election centers onto the INEC portal, and it will be available for people to view. Now, that did not happen on time. And even as we speak, like I said, just 1,178 results have been uploaded out of the 175,668 expected. So based on that, they're saying that the INEC chairman has not done his job. They're also saying that the Electoral Commission in itself is compromised and that they would want an independent person outside. They actually were specific. They said outside of INEC to come in and conclude the process. They're saying that the inability to relay the results to the INEC portal on time has put a lot of questions on the results that are being read out to the Nigerian people right now at the collation center. And they're saying that based on these matters, They do not have faith in the election. They're calling for its cancellation.
How is INEC itself handling the issue of mistrust? People questioning how the whole election is being managed in terms of releasing results, particularly because of the issues they faced with the portal.
That was what the issue was, really. How did INEC handle the matter? And that is the question a lot of people have been talking about, especially even civil society organizations and election observers, basically saying that, look, they had to be asked first before they brought an explanation as to why the portal wasn't working. There had to be a lot of hue and cry before they were able to speak up on that. People are faulting INEC for doing that. And then they're saying that the explanation that he's giving does not suffice. They're saying that the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, had made a promise. There was mock elections. There was promise of backup servers. All of these things were promised, and that these things were not done, and that this has cast some sort of doubt on the results that they're relaying to the Nigerian people. That is the accusation from at least the PDP, the Labour Party, and the ADC, who just briefed right now at the Hilton right here in Abuja.
Kayla, I need you to paint a general picture. I mean, generally, how are the electorates reacting to the results so far?
It's the overwhelming mood for the Nigerian electorate is anxious. We're having a lot of anxiety. A lot of people don't know what to think. While you cannot really point to fraud on the part of INEC, and you cannot say it was, you can't have actual proof of rigging that you can say was done on the part of the electoral umpire, while you don't have all of that, that delay in the transmission of results has made people very anxious and confused. They're not sure what to think about this particular situation. It's an unfortunate one, and we've heard a lot of election observers also point this out, not just pointing out to the late conveyance of these results from the BVAS to the viewing portal. There's also the issue of training of staff. There are a lot of irregularities in many places. There was violence in some places. In fact, in the FCT elections that were just announced, 7 polling units in Gwarinpa. Gwarinpa is one of the suburbs in the nation's capital. The results from there had to be, cancelled because of violence. So there's a lot of these irregularities coming up in all these places. The question that people have been asking is this the worst of the irregularities that we're seeing, or is there just more awareness where people are able to film these things and put it out there so there's more information than usual? That's still being debated. However, the Independent National Electoral Commission has said they will continue. They haven't responded to this press conference, but this isn't the first time someone has called for the cancellation of these results. This one is just a concerted effort by these 3 political parties. But basically, INEC says they're going to continue with the process. They're supposed to reconvene at 2 p.m. So I'm sure the INEC chairman will be brought up to speed on what has been said by the ADC, the Labour Party, and the People's Democratic Party, and then we'll see if there's a response to that when he
would definitely be interested in that 2 p.m. meeting and the press conference that is just about to start. But before I let you go, judging from all that has happened, is it likely we'll get the final results by close of day today?
It's not likely. That's an easy answer. No. The answer is no.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for your time, Kayla Megwa. She's a journalist with Channels TV in Nigeria. We'll definitely bring you more from Nigeria in our subsequent bulletins. Let's head back home and to Parliament, because the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health have given Minister for Health, Kweku Ejimemenu, 2 hours to appear before it to brief MPs on the shortage of essential vaccines. The minister and officials from the Health Ministry were expected to meet the committee this morning, but after hours of sitting and waiting, none of the invited officials showed up. Member of the committee, Mohammed Muntaka Mubarak, says the conduct of the minister is unfortunate and disrespectful. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with more. Kweku, what is the committee's next line of action?
So as we speak, the committee is currently still in the committee room. They've dispatched a letter to the Health Ministry giving the minister 2 hours to appear before the committee. Just like Muntaka Mubarak has said, he says that the minister's refusal or failure to appear before the committee is disrespectful, and that the minister is not taking the committee seriously. And because of this, they are not adjourning. They are going to sit there and wait till 2 o'clock in 2 hours' time for the minister to appear before them and brief them on the shortage of these essential vaccines. They say that if he's unable to do so, they will take some critical actions against him. But for now, they are waiting for the next 2 hours for him to appear.
We also know, was there any communication as to why the minister didn't come?
Usually when such committee meetings are scheduled and ministers or people who are expected to appear are unable to do so, the practice is for them to write to the clerk of the committee explaining why exactly that has not been done. Our understanding is that that has not been done in this case, that the committee is at loss as to why exactly the minister did not appear before the committee. And the ranking member of the committee himself, Pabda says, he actually followed up the invitation with a call, spoke with the minister. The minister did not give him any indication that he was not going to come. And so they are quite surprised that he has not appeared before the committee, has also not written to them explaining his absence. And it's for this reason that they have asked him to appear before the committee in 2 hours before they take some other actions against him.
We also know about the meeting with the committee of the whole with the Electoral Commission. Did the chair turn up for the meeting today, and what has been transpiring at the meeting?
So the committee of the whole meeting has not started. If you look at the other paper, it says that the meeting is expected to happen today at 12 noon. 12 noon has just passed. The MPs are asking questions on the floor to the Minister for Youth and Sports. He's asking some questions. But our understanding is that Madam Jean Mensa is still not around in Parliament at the moment. But the indication is that the minority want to press ahead. They want to see her appear. Last week around this time, officials from the Electoral Commission had already arrived in Parliament. Dr. Chereponi and the Dr. Boss Manasari. Today, none of these officials are around at the moment, or I can see them in the chambers of now. And our understanding is that Madam Jean Mensa is still not around. We expect that when these questions are asked of the Youth and Sports Minister and is finished, there will be some laying of papers, after which Parliament will go into a committee of the whole. At that time, some questions will be asked of why Jean Mensa is not around. We don't know if she's in the country at the moment, whether she has arrived from Nigeria, as the explanation that came in last week, and whether she will come at all. But as of now, she is not in Parliament.
Kokwa Sante is our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent. Will definitely bring you more from Parliament as it unfolds in our subsequent bulletins. Now, across Ghana, police spokespersons and commands would hardly grant media interviews. From regional to district and divisional commands, no one can speak to the press. This is because communication from every corner of the country has been centralized in Accra. There's worrying that the national unit hardly gives information, and if it will, it gives it very late. This information deficit is not only affecting information flow to the public, it's giving rise to undue speculation about many happenings in the country. JoyNews editor Fifi Komsin examines how the situation is affecting information flow to the public.
The media has a big responsibility to, among others, educate and inform. But the new police media blackout in the regions and districts of the country, following the assumption of office of IGP George Akufo-Addo Dampare, threatens this mandate.
This has a very serious potential on giving room for speculations and misinformation.
Whenever a story breaks anywhere in the country, the police in those jurisdictions would direct journalists to the Central Police Communication Center here in Accra for comment. And on many occasions, when the journalists do, they get no answers. Almost every one of these newsmen and women has a story about how this decision by the police is affecting their work in the relay of information to Ghanaians.
Recently, there was a criminal case in one of our neighboring towns, Okrasi, and my outfit tried to authenticate and get facts and some clarification from our regional police command. Sadly enough, we were told to contact the national headquarters.
But how can one central communication center handle requests from 16 regions and 216 districts, municipalities, and metropolitan assemblies? Why would the police shut its commanders in the regions up, the people who have first-hand information, and rather rely on communication officers who only have secondary data?
Whether he thinks that his public relations officers in the regions or the district commanders or the divisional commanders are not competent enough to handle communication. Even if that is the case, I think that there should be a systematic approach to train them in handling PR at the local level.
Following the recent outbreak of violence in Boko, for example, police in the Upper East region could not speak, and it was difficult getting information from Accra.
Different kinds of information was going round, and the police PRO kept saying that he did not have information for me. If we needed the information at the time that he didn't have it, then he was suggesting that we should talk to the Public Affairs Directorate in Accra in order to get information, which for me is a bit ridiculous, because I cannot be here in Bolga in the Upper East region when something is happening, and then I need to go to Accra, nearly 900 kilometers away, in order to be able to get information to bring to the general public.
GG.
JoyNews trying to speak to the Public Affairs Department of the Ghana Police Service, but is yet to get any answers. Security analyst Adam Bonai explains that this measure has been in the offing long before now and wants the media to sit with the police to try and resolve it. He spoke with my colleague Samuel Kujibris on News Desk.
If I quite remember, it didn't start under this current administration. Previously, there were times that if I, needed to speak to sometimes even those in charge of, the Police Public Affairs Directorate, they would direct me to speak to the IGP. I mean, previously, before this IGP took over. And there were times I needed to speak to the IGP for the IGP to give them directives before, I get to talk to them on some of these matters. But I would say that my expectations are that the Ghana Journalism Association, the GJA, together with probably, I think there is we have the National Media Commission and the others, would have to the Private Broadcasters Association and the rest. I'm expecting that there should have been a meeting by now in your, promo or the videos you played, of which you sent me a copy. I didn't hear anything like that where the GGA president said we had a meeting with the IGP. I'm very sure that if this thing is a worry as has been put out, then I was expecting the GGA, the Media Commission, and the National Media Commission, and probably the Private Broadcasters Association to have written to the IGP and his management board to have a meeting with them. I am not holding brief for the media, and I wouldn't want to hold brief for the police either. Mine is that there is a situation at the moment, and as you have alluded to, how do we probably get over it? How do we get around to get go back to the status quo? But like I said, in the past, there have been issues with police communication. I have to be very honest with you. A typical example has to do with the Takoradi missing girl saga. There were a lot of miscommunication here and there from the headquarters, and they kept contradicting themselves. Where you had the regional PRO and then the PROs who manned the national headquarters, they kept contradicting themselves. That further made the situation, a bit more. That was very unprofessional. The police information should be probably tailor-made. It has to, from the source you are getting it from, it has to be good enough so that they shouldn't contradict.
Live on JoyNews today, we'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring you the very latest coming from the world of business.
On JoyNews today with me, Pius Kojobaka. Now, the Federation of African Medical Equipment, Disposables, Devices, Manufacturers and Suppliers says about 98% of all medical devices used in Ghana are imported. The Chief Executive Officer of the organization, Anthony Ameka, described this as worrying. He is therefore calling for investment into the sector to encourage local production. He was speaking at the Indian-Ghana Pharma Business Summit in Accra.
The India-Ghana Pharma Business Meet, a forum under the auspices of the Pharmaceutical Export Promotion Council of India, Pharmacel, is aimed at providing pharmaceutical companies from India the needed help to explore the African markets. In all, 44 pharmaceutical companies arrived in Ghana for the summit. Speaking at the opening ceremony, the Director of Pharmaceutical Export Promotion Council of India, organizers of the event, Murali Krishna, explained further what the summit seeks to achieve.
Our objective is to promote trade in pharmaceuticals and daily products with African countries and all the regions for the region. And we are here to promote bilateral trade between India and Ghana, and also to see how best we can cooperate with Ghana in the area of pharmaceuticals. Our delegation is also looking at joint ventures and also possible investment opportunities.
The Chief Executive Officer of the Federation of African Medical Equipment Disposables, Device Manufacturers and Suppliers, Anthony Ameka, called for partnership to improve local production of pharmaceutical equipment.
Ghana, based on our learning from the COVID-19 pandemic, we need to think outside the box. And thinking outside the box is to reduce our volume of import and increase local production. So we are looking at how we could build synergy, partnership, joint ventureship with the companies to be able to produce locally. If you look at our local consumption now, for instance, when you take the medical devices and equipment, if you are importing 98% of product into the country, that means we have a lot to do. We cannot sustain this. Gloves, medical consumables, all these are imported into the country. So we need to form that partnership. They have the technology. The Indians have the technology. So we need to form that partnership to have that technological transfer for us to be able to produce locally to feed the health sector.
Meanwhile, the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, Samuel Ekodonko, believes the business leverage the summit will offer will go a long way to help Ghana's 50-50 import local production targets.
I believe that this dialogue is going to strengthen the relationship between pharma companies in Ghana and that of India. We also believe that it's going to help a lot of companies who would want to expand or grow, especially some of the pharmaceutical companies that are yet to go into wholesaling or go into importation will have a unique opportunity to have a B2B meeting with their businesses. Some of these exporters or India pharmaceutical companies will look at the opportunity now to be able to go into manufacturing and start looking for partners to go into manufacturing. Currently, 30% of pharmaceuticals are manufactured in Ghana. There's an opportunity for us to be able to use leverage and be able to increase that number. For us as strategic, for Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana, we hope that in future we'll be able to do 50-50.
Prince Kwame Koduga's report read to you.
Now, the African Continental Free Trade Area has been petitioned to address human trafficking and modern slavery in the supply chain of AfTA participating companies. Chief Executive Officer of Challenging Heights, James Kofi Annan, who submitted the petition, is requesting that AfTA establishes an initiative that obliges its members to approve corporate policies that address supply chain issues, as well as to address its own internal human rights issues. There is more in this report.
To Challenging Heights, the petition is to avoid the risk of international product sanctions, as well as to enhance international consumer and investment confidence in the participating companies within the AfTA agreement. Chief Executive Officer of Challenging Heights, James Kofi Annan, says they are requesting of AfTA to set up a unit to monitor compliance and for the unit to work with other member countries to facilitate the passing of due diligence legislations.
Human trafficking and modern slavery has become an issue globally. So Ghana has a law against human trafficking, just like so many African countries. But countries within the AFTA enclave or the AU region do not have laws that requires companies to address modern slavery and human trafficking issues within their supply chains. Unlike other countries like Netherlands, Germany, Australia, and all those countries have enacted due diligence laws against human trafficking and modern slavery in supply chains of companies. And so any company that is dealing or doing business with companies in their countries would also have to fulfill or comply with those laws.
Various countries and states outside the AU region have passed various laws and regulations that address human trafficking and modern slavery, or victim protection, to addressing supply chain issues related to modern slavery. James Kofi Annan says AFTA has an opportunity to leverage existing national and international regulations and initiatives to establish initiatives that will provide participating companies the obligations to address human trafficking and modern slavery in their supply chains.
Now we know that the aim of AFTA is to basically do more exports, manufacturing exports. So which also means that the AFTA companies cannot work in isolation. They will have to work in tandem with companies in Europe, in America, in Australia, in Asia, all those countries. So if we do not have a law that compels these companies to address issues of modern slavery and human trafficking within their supply chains, then those countries' law will compel them to comply. Now, the international consumer agencies are not looking at the fact that, you don't have slavery or human trafficking in your supply chain at all. But they are looking at what efforts. Remember what happened to the cocoa industry. When they realized that Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire were making efforts, they opened up the space again. And we were able to then export our beans to those countries, and the chocolate industries had the freedom and the peace of mind to do their businesses.
Richard Kojenyako for Joy Business.
And that's it for business for now. Darryl Kwa will come your way at 1 p.m. with the marketplace. I am Pius Kujubaka. Sports is next.
Let's do sports now on JoyNews today with me. Muftau Nabila Abda, the president of the country, Nana Akufo-Addo, has assured the family of the late Christian Atsu of state support burial. The family paid a visit to him at the Jubilee House and officially informed him of the demise of the former footballer.
I've asked the Chief of Staff, who unfortunately is outside Accra today, to make sure that we organize a state-assisted funeral for Christian Atsu, depending on the date that you, the members of the family and the GFA, will select. And that everything will be done from the point of view of government to make sure that he's given a dignified exit. I think it's my duty and my responsibility as president to make sure that that happens. I don't know what your plans are, but I would think that the sooner we can get this unfortunate episode behind us, the better for all of us.
Time now for showbiz. Although he's known to have been vocal about the many happenings in Nigeria, Burna Boy has been silent during the 2023 general election. Taking to his Instagram stories, he stated that many people have taken offense, calling him out for not being as vocal about the election as his other colleagues. However, anybody hitmaker says his silence is because he does not trust in any of the political parties and their candidates vying for the presidency. Burna Boy added he does not want to make known his support for any party to sway votes in their favor. He explained that if the party eventually wins election but fails to deliver its mandate, the people will turn on him. Here's what the post he posted. Says, I don't know why it's such a big deal to some Nigerians that have not been vocal about the elections. He wrote on his Instagram stories, personally, I don't have a candidate that I believe in. I've never supported any political party or candidate in my life because I don't want to make you vote and then blame me when the person messes up as usual. That's being said, I hope all votes count and the best man wins, Burna Boy posted on his Instagram page. That is it for showbiz. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com because that's it also for the bulletin. You'll get all the updates of the developing stories. Do enjoy the rest of our programs.